Hey everybody, it's H-Boy here, and I know I said that I really wouldn't be doing this a lot, but I feel like this is something that needs to be done. I've looked around YouTube for a while, and one thing I haven't seen is people coming up with ideas for Kid Icarus Uprising 2, or as I'd like to call it, Shards of Truth. Now, here's the plot idea that I have for it. So the plot starts with that Verity is trying to destroy humanity again, and she's using Dark Pit to distract Pit. After the battle, which if you've been looking at my videos that I've already made using Smash Brothers, it turns out that Dark Pit was a distraction. And Verity, while Dark Pit and Pit were fighting, destroyed the city with a reset bomb. So Pit must stop the next reset bomb by destroying the reset bomb factory again. And after redefeating Cragalanche, the reset bomb factory is destroyed. While Verity's forces weaken, Pit is then sent to Verity's temple and fights Verity to stop her. The battle is fought halfway, and Dark Pit intervenes, saying, "Out of the way, Verity, he's mine." After a scripted loss, Pit is teleported back to Palutena to recover. Dark Pit then attacks the city without Verity's guidance, and Pit goes to stop him. All the while, there's a hooded individual following Pit on land, but Pit pays it no mind. Pit finds Dark Pit, and they fight again. A cutscene triggers after a fight, and the hooded individual throws a mirror, and Pit and Dark Pit kick the mirror at the same time. This mirror is a rebuilt mirror of truth. However, because they attacked it at the same time, they are warped to a mirror world, the world where Dark Pit comes from. Dark Pit flees as Pit is knocked unconscious. Pit wakes up and calls out to Lady Palutena, who at first doesn't respond. After he calls again, Palutena teleports him to the temple. This Palutena is different. This is Dark Palutena, or Palutena, the goddess of darkness. She sentences Pit to death for abandoning this world, because the death sentence was originally put on Dark Pit, but because he fled, Pit is going to take his death instead. Pit fights through the dark forces and escapes. However, since he cannot fly, he jumps down to the surface, where he's saved by Verity, Dark Verity, the goddess of technology. Now, because artwork doesn't exist for Dark Verity, I've decided to make a terrible version of my own. I imagine her to wear black, like most dark characters probably would, and she would have neon colors on. She would be in charge of the Orm forces. Pit explained that he's not from this world and needs to find a way back. Dark Verity tells him that in order to get back to the real world, he must find the 6 pieces of the mirror. After collecting 6 pieces, which should be 6 different levels, Verity's forces are attacked by Dark Palutena's forces, who has found Dark Pit and has had him captive. Pit somehow avoids being captured because he was teleported somewhere different. Turns out he was saved by Hades. Hades says Pit must find the 3 keys that Palutena has hidden to seal Hades' power, which is 3 levels. Pit, of course, not wanting to work with Hades. Hades then tells him that I'm Dark Hades, so I can't be as bad as the Hades you know. And besides, how else are you going to get back home? You need me. So after 3 more levels, which each level you get the key, you free Hades. Now this is the cool part here. The next level, you play as Hades, and the boss fight is against Dark Palutena. Now, Hades, along with Pit, defeat Palutena and save Dark Pit. Pit then uses the mirror, and the two make it back to the real world. However, the mirror begins to break as Hades breaks out, as it was his plan all along. If one Hades is free, then they're all free. And the hooded figure was Thanatos. Pit and Dark Pit didn't have to work together to defeat Hades. After, I say, either one very long level or 3 semi-long levels, going through, to catch up with Hades and Thanatos, then fighting Thanatos, then fighting Hades. Peace is restored for 3 hours. Pit and Dark Pit have one last battle. If Pit wins, Verity will call off her ambitions for a while, and if Dark Pit wins, Palutena won't interfere. Pit wins, obviously, and then game over. After the game ends, you unlock Dark Pit mode, where you go to Dark Pit's story, which is pretty much the same as Pit's story, is that it starts off different, and that Dark Pit passes out instead of Pit, so he goes to Pit's story. In the end, Dark Pit wins and Verity inevitably destroys humanity. This is the story for the game. However, there are some extra features that the game should have. Okay, so extra things that I want to talk about with this game is that the first thing, it should not just be on the 3DS. It should be on the 3DS and Wii U. Now the difference between the two versions is that the 3DS version will pretty much be the regular game, where the Wii U version will have co-op mode, where Pit and Dark Pit work together throughout the story instead. And then the fight at the end will depend on which ending you guys get. Now the Wii U should have 4 controller options: the Wii U gamepad, the Pro controller, and then the Wiimote nunchuck and classic controller options. Now, for those of you who didn't change their options in the original Kid Icarus, you may be wondering, well, how can you play without the touchscreen? Well, it's actually really simple to do that. I've played the game like that. So having these options isn't that crazy. Now, because Pit's an angel, Dark Pit's an angel, and then every other character is a god or a goddess, this story can take place multiple years after Kid Icarus Uprising. Because of this, Magnus probably won't be part of the story. However, that's where DLC comes around. But that's a different story for a different day. Now, the things I would like to talk about now are the versus modes, or the online modes. The online mode will have a campaign type story. For Team Battle, it'll be Team Light versus Team Nature. This campaign takes place when Pit and Dark Pit went to the Dark World, and this was what Palutena and Verity did in the meantime. They get warriors together, and then the warrior who wins the most, and the side that wins the most battles, will end the war there. Now, the free-for-alls, it takes place in the Dark World after Dark Pit left. And Dark Palutena is holding a contest to see who will be the new captain of her soldiers. And the last thing I'd like to talk about is the Amiibos. The Amiibos should be able to work for this game. What I thought would be interesting is that when you put an Amiibo on, you should get a weapon based on that Amiibo. Like, for example, if you had Palutena, you get Palutena's staff, and then you should get a tattoo of that character that you could put on your character for online mode. Now honestly, I've been thinking about it for a long time, and it probably should just be for looks, because if it adds like a stat boost or something, it wouldn't be fair for people that don't buy Amiibos. Now, this should also work like Hyrule Warriors, where you can put Amiibos on more than once, but you can only get the weapon one time. It's a collectible weapon, and because of that, you can't use it on online mode. You can only use it in story mode. Now, these probably should be some buff weapons for that, because of that, but not too buff that it's game breaking. Now, if you put on an Amiibo that you've already got the weapon and tattoo for, or a character that doesn't have a weapon, then you should just get a few hearts that you can use for currency to buy other stuff in the game. Last thing that I would like to see is that maybe there could be a mission mode where you could do missions where you'd have to play a certain level or do certain battles with certain conditions. And this is where Magnus could come in as DLC, where you'd probably play a mission where you have to play as Magnus, which because of that you have no melee weapon. You only have a melee weapon. You have no projectile weapons. But honestly, that could be saved for later. And this is my idea for Icarus Uprising 2, or Shards of Truth. And that's gonna be it. One last thing before I'm done is that my birthday is coming up pretty soon, and I think I might do a video for it. And this video will also have commentary. So that's it.